go, man. Lucas Hill, voice of college football, South Carolina. We'll talk a little Darius Gray. Darius Gray, number one, interior offensive. About to make his commitment here at 6 o'clock. Everybody's thinking between USC, South Carolina, or LSU.
The number one interior offensive lineman is set to make a decision today as we get ready. Darius Gray, the number one interior guy from St. Christopher School out in Richmond, Virginia, is set to make a decision today as we are ready for what should be a very interesting commitment. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you all for tuning in once again here on simulcasting on a multitude of different channels. We're on Ohio State, Clemson, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, recruiting at the voice of college football. We are also live on my own personal X, and we are live here on Gamecocks Inside as well. Joining me over at LSU at the voice of college football, Lewis Johnson is here with us. Lou, good to see you, my friend. Glad we finally meet. Grateful to have you on, man. How are you feeling going in as we are 8 minutes away from his official announcement?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Not overly confident, but I'm feeling good. You know, anything can happen. This is a big one, man. Darius Gray, like you said, top interior offensive lineman in the country. A big need for anybody, but particularly LSU, who's trying to get this offensive line back on track. But yeah, man, about to hear a big decision here in a few.
Talk to me about the offensive line in general, and just talk to me about how big of a need is this for LSU going forward in their 26 class, which is already loaded, as we talked about, capping off of 25, which was a phenomenal recruiting class. Now you get into the 26 era and beyond. What is this going to mean if he is to be an LSU Tiger?
Well, it's huge, man, because before we even get to recruiting, you know, LSU had some issues running the ball last year, and I don't think it was necessarily a talent deal. You got to kind of commit to it, but either way, you're talking about an elite guy, and when you're talking about running the ball, Gray has a nasty streak. Like it's what you want out of an offensive lineman. This dude is he's big, literally, as a recruit and in size. It's like 320, but he finishes every play. When you watch him, he gets to the second level, and he's blocking a linebacker 20 yards down the field. I'm not even exaggerating. Like yes. 20 yards down the field, he's pinning a guy down. But that's the kind of guy you're getting. But not only do you get that effort, you get a big, nimble guy. This guy's quick. He can pull. He can do anything you want as a guard, but he's got some versatility to play outside too. Now for LSU, you definitely need that help on the interior because you got 4 offensive linemen committed for that 26 class right now, but only one of them is projected to play on the interior. So you can have all the tackles you want. If you're allowing pressure up the middle or you can't move anybody up the middle in the run game, you're in trouble. It's going to be a big decision for LSU.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're completely right. I mean, that was one of LSU's biggest weaknesses, specifically last year, was your inability to block and find an answer on the interior. Now, does this change this year? We'll see what happens with this portal class. For South Carolina, knowing that what we talked about yesterday, for those of you that were on here when we reacted live, when Kamari Blair decommitted from Tennessee or decommitted from South Carolina, commits to Tennessee, we knew that this was going to happen. I told you all that this was going to happen. And to be fair, I was surprised at the first place that Blair was a Gamecock initially. Now that we get to decision week, now that the odds stack in the Gamecocks' favor, who are the current favorites right now to be getting Darius Gray, the number one interior guy, now you bring it up that class to back to 15 or 16 total commits, and 9 of them, 9 or 10, are 4-star and above. This is what we've been talking about for the last several weeks, is Beamer's ability to recruit these blue chip guys and recruit at a high level. And not all of them are going to be blue chips. And when you talk about recruiting at a high level, guys, Beamer's been balls to the wall whenever it comes to recruiting at a high level. And you're seeing it especially throughout this 26 class, which in my opinion has been Beamer's best class to date. Even if you finish with 16 or 17 commits, you're having less than 20, but you're a top 20 recruiting class. You're recruiting at a high level, and recruiting is going to be your lifeblood at the end of the day. This is a position that has to be a solid pick for South Carolina to establish their dominance on the offensive line. Jesse Sewell says they're doing the announcement right now. Where is it at? Because I got it on 247. I don't see where they have it on. Lou, do you have it on your end?
No, I do not, man. I'm dependent on you.
I'm looking because he said he was going to be committing on his Instagram. Okay, Gamecock Central has it on their one. They got their coach that's currently talking right now. But, I mean, we've already reviewed his film if you're a listener or a watcher of South Carolina Live. We've talked about what type of athlete this kid is. In my opinion, this is a kid that can play both sides of the football, but specifically on the offensive line. Lou, me and you talked about this before we went live. He's a flex offensive lineman. He can play just about any position that they tell him to go play at, and he is damn good at it.
Motor is off the charts. The motor is off the charts. You get a big, nimble guy who does not quit, even after the whistle. He doesn't quit. But I think the most impressive thing about it is probably what you said, his versatility. He could easily play high-level D1 ball as a defensive tackle. That's the kind of talent we're talking about.
Yeah.
He's got burst. He's got agility. Everything you want as a D tackle as well as an offensive lineman. So he's going to be a jewel for whichever lucky school gets him. But while we're waiting, man, I want to point out what you said about Beamer. Beamer has done a heck of a job, not only recruiting as far as rankings, but recruiting as far as a fit to his program. His teams have an established identity, and he does an excellent job of recruiting guys that fit that identity to his locker room.
Yes. I mean, so coming from a guy in Beamer that's been around this Carolina program before, was there whenever they were starting to ascend to new heights. Remember, this was the same Beamer that recruited Jadeveon Clowney coming out of high school, that recruited Melvin Ingram, that recruited Stephon Gilmore, that recruited a lot of these blue chip guys that came from the East Coast. The East Coast of the states, a breeding ground that goes widely unnoticed when regards to NFL talent. I mean, you've seen plethoras of high school athletes from the Virginias, the Carolinas, the Jersey areas that have all gone on to have successful careers, all of which came from the East Coast and have contributed greatly to that South Carolina program, both past and present.
You see it year after year too, man. It takes me back to the Steve Spurrier days when somebody was questioning him late in the preseason. You're approaching the regular season, and they ask him what he's going to do on the D-line, and Spurrier's like, "You ever heard of Jadeveon Clowney?" And, that's the kind of talent you got coming from South Carolina and Rock Hill and those areas. Very underrated, especially per capita.
Yes.
Like the amount of people that are out there, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, is loaded with talent.
Guys, we have close to 500 of you already in this chat. Do me a favor. Tell about 4 or 5 fans that are college football, high school recruiting, doesn't matter, college football fans. Tell them that me and Lou are live right now on the Voice of College Football. Y'all tune in. Y'all subscribe to the different channels that we are on, wherever you're watching, wherever that you are at this point in time. So, Lou, he is literally about to make his announcement today. I talked with Darius throughout the week and was just continuing to encourage him just as he makes his decision. I asked him about South Carolina, and he seemed He didn't want to tell me the exact answer, but I kind of had I had pretty good feeling about what that final decision was going to be.
So you're telling me that you were not pushing him to LSU? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not going to say all that now. I'm going to keep. Lips are sealed at the end of the day.
I'm telling you, man. According to what you're hearing and what I'm hearing, this might be one of the worst kept secrets in recent history as far as recruitments go.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But how solid is it going to be? Is it going to take more visits? Like I said, the schedule is kind of speeding up, and these guys are committing earlier. But is it going to stick? And if you go by the odds, it likely will at this time of year. But it's just something to think about.
Pisso Frank, keep dreaming. What? Oh man.
Hey man, you got a dream, bro. You got a dream.
Nothing better than that. Bro, the graphic, whatever this is being recorded on, we're Gamecock Central, the freaking graphics are just horrible right now. It must be in a pretty bad part of the gym because it looks like it's on a 144 pixel or whatnot.
Not getting much to go on, huh?
Not really. I mean, I don't know if 247 has better streaming quality, but yeah, 247 is much better right now. And I think that's Cooper. No, I thought it was Cooper that was on live right now.
So I was about to ask you, where is South Carolina's 26 class looking right now as far as O-line? Or how is it looking?
Who, South Carolina-wise?
Yeah.
So already when you look at this offensive line class, Anthony Baxter, 3-star guy, top 18 player in the state of South Carolina. South Point guy, one of the best high schools in the state of South Carolina. Pretty good class, I think, overall with him. You talk about guys like the Harris twins, Andrew, who's a 4-star edge, and then Aiden, who's one of the best interior defensive linemen in the nation. But I think Zion Giles, that's one of your best interior guys overall, but you don't really have a real flex guy like Darius is at the end of the day.
I got you. So these guys are pretty set where they're going.
Pretty much.
Yeah, positional value.
So, when we talk about that and we discuss, the offensive line room as a whole for South Carolina, you got to have a solid guy. You got to have a guy that can move across the offensive line, that can play just about any position that you basically ask him to play. And I think that with a guy like Darius, that's a great opportunity that you have to continue that trend and continue to showcase that just flexibility and what he brings as a whole to the table as an offensive lineman, which he brings a lot. I mean, you've seen his film. I've seen his film. The kid can play just about anywhere on the offensive line. And you talk about him having a high freaking motor. It scares the living hell out of me to see what type of athlete that this kid can be. What do you see him compared to whenever you look at him on the offensive line?
This is going to be a kind of a revelation for the LSU team this year, but he kind of reminds me of a true freshman that LSU has out of Arkansas and Darius Kern. And Kern has been threatening older guys at guard, threatening them at tackle. But bottom line is the guy's going to play this year. Super strong guy, super quick guy. I'm not sure if he's quite as twitchy as Darius Gray, but if he's not, he's close. And this is a guy that'll be he'll be in line for some time at the very least at right tackle. He could take a starting spot at left guard.
Right. I mean, I think whenever you look at him on South Carolina, they say that he's compared to Zion Johnson, who's now with the LA Chargers. 34-inch arms and dominated at the Navy All-American Bowl. Do we have any news if he's going to be playing in the in the All-American Bowl this upcoming December, or if he might be an early enrollee. What do you think he might be?
I haven't seen a commitment to either. So, as a guy that follows LSU or covers LSU, you're hoping that he'll enroll early if he comes to LSU, get that spring in, and give him a better chance to contribute. But I haven't heard him commit either way if he's going to be playing in one of these All-American Bowls or if he plans on just enrolling early and getting his feet wet. But with that kind of talent, this is a guy that could challenge for a starting role, especially if he enrolls early wherever he's going.
Stick it in your ear, Sewell says Halo Master 96. I mean, to be fair, when he initially committed to South Carolina, he didn't look comfortable at all. I mean, his parents, if you watch the commitment of him, I just couldn't get the sense that he was truly locked in to be a Gamecock at the end of the day. And I mean, it happens. This was expected if you watched the show yesterday.
That's a good point. You got to watch the body language, man. You got to watch the body language. And that way, as a fan, when these guys flip, then it doesn't hurt as bad.
Yes.
It sounds like you had a pretty good idea of if it was going to stick before he even changed his mind.
This would be South Carolina's highest ranked commit they have in this 26 class for LSU. I think it would be the third highest behind only, obviously, Lamar Brown and Tristan Keys. By the way, I did want to get your thoughts on Tristan Keys, Lou. How likely is it that we see him flip? Went on that Tennessee visit not too long ago and went viral for it.
Hey, well, this is a guy. He's such a high-profile guy. Anything he does is going to go viral. So
right.
at this point, I'll leave it at 70-30. I think the later you get into these recruitments, the more unlikely it is you're going to see a flip. But anything can happen after a good visit. So yes. You can't rule it out. I do still like where LSU stands, but I won't go any further than 70-30 when it comes to Keys. I think most of the other guys, probably 90% of the other guys, are going to be pretty solid in this LSU class.
Right.
It's not the biggest class, only at 18 right now, guys. But as far as quality, this is going to be the best class that Kelly has had since he's been here. Last year, especially when you consider the transfers, was the best. But as far as average rating per guy, LSU is 2 right now. And that's on 247 for what that's worth.
He's committing now. I've got the feed pull up.
Gotcha. Hope he's got his purple and gold hat close by.
I think it was weird that he committed on Friday, but then I realized we're still in scrimmage season, so it's pretty common because they're still playing games on Thursday.
Right. Hadn't quite hit regular season yet up there, huh?
Because I think it's kind of like Louisiana. The second to last week of August is scrimmage. Last week of August is jamborees, and then they start the regular season there in that first week of September.
Right. Well, since I can't see it, what's the dress code for his parents? What are his parents looking like? Or family?
There you go. Darius Gray is a South Carolina Gamecock. He just put that South Carolina Gamecock hat on. Wow. Probably that's probably the biggest win that South Carolina has gotten so far this offseason in the recruiting trail. Again, I told you guys this was happening yesterday. I told you it was happening Wednesday. I got the text that confirms it. Lou, overall thoughts whenever it comes to Darius Gray who is now officially a South Carolina Gamecock.
Man, big shout out to South Carolina and big major shout out to Shane Beamer. I spoke a few minutes ago about Beamer recruiting to his system and finding the right fit. Well, this is a guy who's the right fit, and he's just an all-star, ready-to-go player. And you beat out some major programs for this guy. So just got to give credit to Shane Beamer on this one. And if he keeps recruiting at this rate, there's no limit to what South Carolina can be.
Guys, those of you in the chat that right now, give us your thoughts on Darius Gray that is officially a South Carolina Gamecock. Hayes Fawcett officially dropping the graphic, and this is actually kind of fire. He posted this. Actually, they had on one of the video boards for his little video, his commitment video. It had this specific little graphic that Hayes created with all the NCAA games and all the jerseys that he was in for the finals, which I thought was really freaking cool.
Yeah, Fawcett is the best.
You know, it's funny how Hayes has been around for so long, and it just seems like his graphics keep getting better and better and better every freaking time that he puts out a new one.
Well, you know your graphics are good when they kind of morph you into a recruiting guru.
Literally.
like you know you're doing some serious business.
I wonder how much he charges.
At this point, he can probably do it for fun.
No, literally. I mean, On3 is essentially paying him to do it, and he's one of the best in the business, so pretty much what you expect at the end of the day. So
what's this mean for the program?
It's a huge win. Absolutely massive win for South Carolina. And this now moves them, and it still keeps them at 17th in the official rankings. But I think this is one of South Carolina's biggest recruiting wins since you got since you got Lenore Sellers 2 years ago. I would compare it to that sort of level, because when we talk about a game changer, that's exactly what Darius Gray is. And that's exactly what I'm expecting him to be at the end of the day. Doesn't surprise me that he's at this level. Doesn't surprise me one bit about how dominant he will be at the next level. I think Shane Beamer and company got a massive need at offensive line, and it's going to help bolster that offensive line better than it has been before, because you know the woes that they had early on in the season, especially in pass protection. Lenore Sellers was running for his freaking life earlier in the season, and then finally, once you get everything together, you start to have some success during that 6-game stretch where they were just unbelievable and running the football with ease with Lenore at the helm. That's when you finally started to see him get comfortable. That's when you started to see him really elevate his game at the end of the day.
And look, I'm glad you brought up Sellers' recruitment, because at this point in Gray's career, as a recruit, he is more highly thought of than Sellers was at that point. Like, yeah. Sellers was it was a big time recruitment. You had some big programs going after him, but as far as a win at the time, I would argue this is bigger than Sellers' commitment at the time of it.
It's getting soon. Jesse Sewell says we have some flips coming soon, at least one. On South Carolina side, or on just in general with the recruiting side? Because honestly, it wouldn't surprise me, because I think flip season for me has really taken part when we get to conference play, which is around that beginning of November, end of November time frame, which is where you're going to see the majority of flips happen.
Well, yeah, the flips at this point, they're never going to be a complete shock to anybody. If it is, then that's your fault. But it's a lot less often than it used to be, because these schools are so structured now. Like, you got a whole different department, like literally a department that's on top of recruiting. And yeah, the coaches are still involved, but everybody's so much more organized. It's more of a professional feel to how these guys are working out contracts way ahead of time. So it takes a school getting desperate, or you having a desperate need while you're inching closer to signing day. So yeah, it'll be some flips, but I wouldn't put my money on too many of them.
No, I wouldn't either, to be honest with you. I do think, and thank you, Jesse, by the way, for clarifying. Yeah, I kind of do see South Carolina potentially seeing a couple flips. I think it's still up in the air for Darius. It could be still up in the air for guys like Smoke Matthews, who's currently at Texas right now. He could definitely flip at the end of the day. But regardless of this, guys, this is now the 20th 5-star that is committed to at least one team. 20 programs have 5-star commitments in the 26 recruiting cycle, which I think is so incredible. And it just goes to show you how tight that window was for the 5-star rank. They were going to get maybe 4 or 5, which was your typical blue bloods, like your LSUs, your Bamas, your Georgias, your Ohio States, and your Oregons. Now with where NIL is at this point, that's more wide open at this point in time. Now that you have other schools like your Carolinas, like your blue chip teams like North Carolina, like even a team like Miami that hasn't really had a lot of success before with the recruiting landscape like they had in the early 2000s. Now you're starting to see them see a resurge because of the amount of donor money that is being generated through that program. And let's just be honest, Lou, $20.5 million to spend on a bunch of kids? No, you're spending a lot more on that. You're spending a lot more through the portal. You and I know that. We're not dumb enough to believe that.
Hey man, the bag man never left. The
No.
bag man never left, and
Hey.
I don't care what you put in place. He's not gonna leave. But I'm so glad you have NIL here now because what you just said, you've added so much more parity to the game. You're kind of leveling out the playing field to where you got the Texas Techs of the world getting the number one overall recruit, not number one quarterback, number one deep, a number one overall recruit in 27. So
the oil money.
Right. Just think if OK State still had old boy around. But anyway, man, it makes it fun for the consumer of the game. And you have much less of a separation as far as who has a legitimate chance to win it all. I could easily name 7, 8 teams in the SEC that have a legitimate shot. It might be a surprise, but it wouldn't shock you. Anytime you got Vanderbilt beating Alabama, it's a new day and age.
And look where that came from. It's because you got the personnel that you needed through the portal and you got the right pieces. Diego Pavia would not have been a Vanderbilt Commodore if it hadn't have been for Jerry Kill and for Tim Beck being in Nashville. And by the way, the paper bag still exists in college football, except it's have a stack full of freaking money in it.
Absolutely.
That never left. We can say that, NILs came through, everything's legal now. Nope. We still got under-the-table payments that are being made. Let's not kid ourselves at this point. That is being a big help for a lot of these blue small schools that are finally getting the love that they deserve. Guys, we just passed over 1,000 people of you in here. Guys, you guys are the best. Appreciate you guys being here. We got a bunch of y'all up in here. YouTube, y'all better start picking up the slack, man. We only got to combine 15, 20, 22 of y'all in YouTube. We got 1,000 plus on X. But you know what? 1,000 is 1,000, which I expected. That was going to be the goal going into this one, and we did it. So y'all
however you get it. Get them however you get it, man.
Yeah, there you go. Guys, thank you all for tuning in on what was a very fun commitment party. Darius Gray is a South Carolina Gamecock, one of the biggest wins in the Shane Beamer era in regards to recruiting. Lou said it's bigger than Lenore Sellers. I'm kind of on the fence about it, but it's definitely second up there.
At the time of the commitment.
We'll see if he remains a Gamecock from here on out. Guys, you got to remember this. We still got September, October, November, about 3.5 months until we officially have early signing day. And even then, you still got the portal that can change a lot for your program. Don't get your hopes up because you still got to be realistic about this, guys. Make sure you guys do us a favor. Hit the like and share button. Make sure you do us a favor. Everybody do us a favor since we got LSU and we got South Carolina representing in the building. Do me a favor real fast. Make sure you go on over. Let's subscribe over to LSU at the Voice of College Football. Guys, they're at 1,390 plus subscribers. Y'all go holler at them on YouTube at LSU VOCFB. We're live on South Carolina, guys. We're getting closer to 600 subscribers. Y'all get LSU over to just over 2,000 subscribers. Make sure y'all share the love. We appreciate all of you for joining in. Over 1,000 of you in here. Yet another successful commitment watch party. Guys, if you are a South Carolina Gamecock, we will be live in just a few minutes. We'll be back on here discussing this. We got a lot to discuss today. We're going to be breaking down what it means for South Carolina. We'll talk about the Nike deal. Got to address that. What does this mean for SC? So no more Under Armour. Lewis, thank you again, brother. You are a man. You are the man. Y'all keep killing it over there at LSU, and we'll see you on the other side, man.
No problem, man. Thanks, and big congrats to Shane Beam and the Gamecocks.
Y'all have a great rest of the week, guys, and we will see you all on the next one.